You found Stryker of Enyo, and the following is an excerpt from my main video, I Play Every Xbox Live Arcade Game Part 2, which is a massive 3.5-hour experience that I encourage you to check out if you like what you see here. This version was rendered at nearly 2 to 3 times the bitrate of the original. DeathSpank. This is an outstanding action RPG developed by Hothead Games and created by game designers Ron Gilbert and Clayton Kozlaric. Ron Gilbert is best known for his work with adventure games while working at LucasArts, most notably Maniac Mansion and the Monkey Island series. Clayton Kozlaric is best known for designing Voodoo Vince on Xbox and the Total Annihilation series of strategy games. You play as the wanderer DeathSpank, who is searching for a powerful artifact called the Artifact. The visual design is fantastic, with the world being presented as a rotating cylinder, similar to what Animal Crossing Wild World would use years later. This gives the game a design of kind of like a pop-up storybook element, as new areas and creatures appear over the horizon as you move toward them. The art style and color palette matches the storybook design, and it looks great, with 3D and 2D objects in the world. The combat is rather simple and easy, but it's fun collecting loot, equipping new armor and weapons, and picking your upgrade cards when you level up. The voice work is superb, with the main hero being self-righteous and full of himself.
Your lemonade stand not doing so well?
It's not a lemonade stand. This is an official Bong the Potioneer kiosk.
But it works wonderfully in this world since the other characters also recognize this. You run into a wise cow.
Greetings, cow. You're so wise.
You pick up fortune cookies to get hints on how to complete certain quests, and you use outhouses as a respawn point, as well as a fast travel system. They even added a 2-player cooperative option. It's a little lackluster, as the second player is really just a sidekick that can't do too much, but it does give another player a chance to participate. There are 48 positive critic reviews on Metacritic with no negative ones. Ryan McCaffrey from Official Xbox Magazine gave it an 8.5 at release, really enjoying the humor even though he admits the game takes a little time to get going. DeathSpank is still a good game today, 7 out of 10. $15 US might be a little steep for some, but you're getting a good amount of content with about 8 to 12 hours of playtime and featuring 33 main quests in addition to 79 side quests. It's not backwards compatible, so if you like what you see, you should buy it before the 360 store closes, but you can also find all 3 games on Steam.
You clearly have no friends, so buy this game! Alright, sure, you don't need any laughs and fun in your life. Go ahead, walk away.
DeathSpank Thongs of Virtue. The sequel to the original, Thongs of Virtue, was released only a little more than 2 months after the first game. Ron Gilbert confirmed that they worked on the first 2 DeathSpank games at the same time. It was originally planned as one game, but they had to split it into 2 separate releases because of the size limitations for arcade games at the time. Gilbert describes DeathSpank as being Act 1 in a story, and that Thongs of Virtue is being Acts 2 and 3. Thongs of Virtue takes place right after the first game, but the setting has changed to a more World War II-inspired look. You start out in a POW camp needing to find a disguise, forge some papers, and find a secret password in order to escape, just like in an old World War II prison camp movie. The game now adds guns to your arsenal. The trademark humor from the original is back, but the sequel is harder to rate because it is more content, but many of the same problems plague this game.
The revolt begins now!
Ha! The only thing revolting around here is your face! Zing!
The combat is still a bit dull, all you do is mash the attack buttons, and it really isn't any more complex or rewarding. Coming in at about 15 hours, it really felt like DeathSpank Thongs of Virtue surpasses the original in several ways. There's more diverse content and more great humor, even though it really doesn't add any new features. 8 out of 10. I think this is a standout game on the XBLA platform. One of the better action RPGs and a funny experience. It's better to think of this as one big long game separated into 2 parts. It's a shame that only Thongs of Virtue is backwards compatible. I have seen it go on sale, but it's not too often. And I just don't know why this isn't bundled with the first game and playable on newer Xbox consoles. Shortly after Ron Gilbert departed the company in 2010, Hothead Games shifted development to focus entirely on mobile games, in response to market trends surrounding mobile devices at that time. I looked up a more recent interview with Hothead Games from a PR person, and they don't seem to have any inkling to go back to console games or to remaster any of their previous efforts. They seem to be pretty happy going with mobile games only, so don't expect any kind of collection or Ultimate Edition to ever get released. So we're gonna have to make do with what's available now.
If you only buy one game this year, you're clearly not playing enough games.
DeathSpank: The Baconing, also known as just The Baconing. DeathSpank returns in the third game, just shy of 1 year after Thongs of Virtue came out. This is DeathSpank: The Baconing, and boy does this game need some explaining. When it was first announced and released, the DeathSpank name was dropped from the game's title. Producer Mike Engelhart stated, "This new title isn't DeathSpank 3 or DeathSpank: The Baconing, instead it should be thought of as just The Baconing." Engelhart elaborated by saying that this is a standalone experience that will appeal to fans of the DeathSpank character, but also to gamers everywhere who love unique and engaging video games. Yeah, that's company speak for we don't like the DeathSpank name because Spank is in the title. Oh, and also we hired a company to do some market research, and they said there's not enough name recognition to warrant continued use of the DeathSpank name, and it will only hurt sales. This move shows a general lack of trust in the franchise name. I remember seeing this game with its silly name saying something like, what's the baconing? And then I passed it right by, so good job there, Engelhart. Years later, many sites would list this as DeathSpank: The Baconing. It shows up that way on the Xbox.com storefront and most achievement websites as well. Although when looking at my games list on the Xbox 360, it is simply labeled as The Baconing under the T's, of all places. It's also still referred to as The Baconing on the Wikipedia entry and on Steam, so just be aware when you're looking for it. For this game, we see another jump ahead in time, now to a desolate future, complete with concrete, highways, robots, skyscrapers, force fields, aliens, ghosts, and zombies. By this point, Ron Gilbert had already left Hothead Games, so he had no involvement with this entry. The combat system has been upgraded slightly, with the addition of being able to charge up your ranged shots, and a shield bash mechanic. This helps when enemies crowd you in groups, but it's not a huge change. Combat still boils down to mashing the attack button, but they seem to have upped the difficulty. The strongest part of the game is still the clever writing and the great delivery from the vocal cast.
Wow! The orphan population is really out of control. I'll have to order up some wolves to keep the numbers down. Why, it's my old friend, Thongalith Researcher.
I have a name, you know.
Hey, that's great.
I do agree with a few other reviewers on the quality of the comedy. I find the humor is good, but it is still missing a certain level of creativity that only Ron Gilbert can really give your game. Critics were divided on the gameplay aspects of the game. The Metacritic is a 64 on the Xbox 360, but the PlayStation 3 and PC versions are only 1 point off, with a user score of 5.4. Most reviews are mixed on this one, with only a few positive on each platform. But it's still a good time if you can find it on another platform in the future. 6 out of 10. It's definitely a step back in quality from the first two games, but fans will want to track down all three. We don't know total sales, but we do have a year-end report from Gamasutra in 2011 that this third game only sold a little over 14,000 units on Xbox Live Arcade, which is a very low number considering it was the last 4 months of the year. Unfortunately, this game is delisted, which is really a shame. At the release of this video, DeathSpank: The Baconing is still available on Steam for $15. Hothead Games seems to own the publishing rights on Steam and possibly still on the PlayStation 3. Physical media might be an option for some platforms, but I couldn't find them listed on Amazon whatsoever.
Buying this game will make you smarter and better looking. Whatever. Let evil triumph.
Would you like to know more? Did you like the video you just watched? Then leave a comment. Even give me a like. Then head to my channel for more. I got several series like Rage Quit 2, How the F Did I Die, and I even have a playlist for everything related to the I Play Every Xbox Live arcade game. You'll find all the parts, including higher bitrate versions of certain segments and eventually audio commentaries. If you want to see what I'm currently working on, then check the community tab on my channel. It's just right here. This is where I give occasional updates on what I'm working on and mention what's coming up next. If you want to watch the main video where this segment came from, then it should be showing up right about now, on the upper left side of the screen. The playlist for the entire series will be on the lower right. Thank you for any watch time that you can spare. The response on the series has been very positive, so thank you all.